The time has come to speak on Cabal. Everybody feared this character. Nobody wanted to play against Cabal. People rather have fought against any other character than go up against a good Cabal in this game, and I'm going to explain you why. So Cabal had the most ridiculous rushdown pressure you are about to see when it comes to MK9. Yes, even better than Johnny Cage. However, there was one thing that pushed Cabal over the edge when regarding to Cage was if you had a big hitbox, that's when Cabal would feast. If you did not have a big hitbox, then Johnny had better offense than Cabal if you were playing against a low hitbox character, because Johnny's core offense didn't depend if your opponent had a big hitbox or small hitbox. Cabal, similar to Jax, if you guys have seen my Jax video, the most broken string in this game, Jax was very dependent on if your opponent had a big hitbox or a small hitbox. Cabal was similar to that regard, but his offense didn't take a huge hit when your opponent ended up having a low hitbox. So let's get into what made Cabal the best rushdown character in this game. I have Shiva, who's a big hitbox character, and we're going to go over his best normals. First, we're just going to take a look at his normals. So Cabal's normals, if you look at them, you can see that they don't look that good. They look pretty slow, pretty clunky. They don't really look like a character that you would expect to have these crazy normals. See, the thing is, they look pretty bad because they're made to be cancelled. So of course his strings, if you're not using any cancels, are gonna look pretty awful frame data wise. What made Cabal over the edge was his Nomad Dash, which was a 18 frame combo starting spin attack, 18 frames up close, and you could cancel this move by inputting back and then inputting block. So you could do that, and you could cancel it on the 17th frame right before it hits the opponent on the 18th frame. So if you applied this to your normals, you would be able to do things like this. So no longer would your crappy normals be shitty. Now your normals would become great, because now Cabal can cancel all of them, and when you cancel his normals, instead of them being bad on block, they grant you advantage now. So this was how Cabal was meant to be played in this game. You were forced to use his cancels. You couldn't really play Cabal without cancels, because then the character would be way worse than you would otherwise. So once you learn how to do cancels, that's when Cabal became insane. And now we're going to talk about how hitboxes affected Cabal. So these are Cabal's most plus strings that he has, his best strings. So one of his good strings is 111, which if you cancel is +8. That's +8. The problem is this string starts off as 2 highs, so it's high, high, mid. So this isn't really a string you're going to be using like that in offense. This string would mainly only be used off a jump in. Your opponent blocks a jump in, you have an option to go for 111 if you want, because then they're forced to block, you know, the first high and then the second high. But otherwise, your opponent, I mean, you as the Cabal player wouldn't really be just doing 111s of plus like that, because again, they could duck it and then punish you. His second best pressure string, actually no, this is his best pressure string. I'm gonna say 111 is his second best pressure string, or third. I'll put it as third. His first best pressure is his standing 2. His standing 2 is what made his offense unbearable to play against. His standing 2 was a 9 frame high jab, was a 9 frame high starting jab, but if you had a big hitbox, which Shiva has, the 2 would make contact on you on block. So that means that you were forced to block the 2, and the 2 on block gave Cabal the most advantage compared to anything else. If you blocked a 2 Nomad Dash cancel like that, Cabal was at +10. +10. And I'm going to explain why this is crazy. Let me just touch on his other tools so I can lead up to it. So his next best string after 2 and 111 was his back 1 series. This is his back 1. This move, if you had a big hitbox, was a mid. This wouldn't hit low hitbox characters. It would whiff on them. It would kind of act like a high. Same thing as his 2. So his back 1 and his 2 would not work on low hitbox characters. They would just whiff. But if you had a big hitbox, his back one would work on you, and this was a 13 frame mid. And if you dash cancel this, it would be a 13 frame mid that became +1 on block. So now you have a 13 frame mid that's +1 on block. You have an extension which is back 1-2, and if you cancel back 1-2, that's +2 on block. So you have +1 and +2 off a 13 frame normal. And if you go even further than that, it has a third extension, back 1-2-1, it becomes a launcher. And this last hit was extremely messed up because guess what this move had at the end? It had the random advantage bug. So if you were forced to deal with this string, if you were one of the unfortunate characters that had to deal with back 1, you had to deal with this 13 frame mid and your character couldn't duck it and you had to deal with this, Cabal would be abusing the string on you a lot. And not only can he make back 1 +1 or back 1 2 +2, but when you would block the entire back 1 2 1 string, it's supposed to be 0 neutral block, meaning you and the opponent recover at the same time. It would randomly bug out and become +10, just like Johnny's random plus advantage bug off his 4-3, and just like Jax's random block advantage bug off his 4-1-3. So let me demonstrate. I'm going to do back 1-2-1. We're both going to hold up, and we should jump at the same time, but you can see right there Cabal jumps first. That's where the bug occurred. We're going to do it a few more times. So the bug occurred again. I was +10. The bug did not occur. We're both neutral, which is how it should be every time. And we're neutral again. You can see that it's completely random. Neutral again. The bug happens randomly. So randomly, when you block this 3-hit mid launcher that pops you up for a combo, that may or may not be +10. So this string was extremely messed up. If you had a big hitbox character, this string and a standing 2 combined together would be so oppressive that Cabal could literally chip you to death while carrying you towards the corner on block. Now we're going to get into his other strings. So aside from that, his other pressure string was his 4-3 series, which is this. That's his 4-3. If you do 4-3 cancel, this is neutral on block, 0. So you and the opponent recover at the same time. Doing 4-3 2 on block, which is the extension, would make you +2 on block. So you could be 0 or +2 off this. So that was his other extension. His other strings, he really didn't have plus frames off of. He had 4-4 cancel, which is -6, and down 4, which is minus, and back 2, which is -4. Everything else is pretty much minus. His main pressure strings were, if you were a low hitbox character, Cabal would only use 4-3 and 4-3-2. But mainly just 4-3-2, because if you did 4-3 cancel, it wasn't plus, he was 0. And Cabal in this game, he wasn't a 6-frame poke character. His fastest pokes were both 7 frames. So his down 1 was 7, his down 3 was 7, meaning if you were using 4-3 cancels against many of the casts in this game who do have either a 6-frame down 1 or 6-frame down 3, they would poke you out first, even though you're doing a cancel, because Cabal does not have a 6-frame poke, and a lot of other characters do. So mainly, if you were a low hitbox character, you would just have to deal with this 4-3-2 pressure, because 2 wouldn't work and back 1 wouldn't work, they would whiff. Now, that's just us talking about the cancels. Let's talk about Cabal's 50-50s that he also had on top of that. So Cabal had safe 50-50s. He had overhead hook sword, which was a safe overhead, and you had to block the standing. It was a 22 frame overhead that was -9 on block. You can see it's an overhead. Hit Shiva while she's ducking. And then he had a low, which was a 9 frame low, a low saw blade, 9 frame low that was -14 on block. So he had a 9 frame low that he could cancel off strings, or a 22 frame overhead that he could cancel off strings. So if he wanted to, he also had 50-50s, get people to want to block. Like if you think someone's going to poke out, instead of you doing 4-3-2 dash cancel poke, you could do 4-3-2 50-50 to catch them, to make them want to block. Or if you're feeling risky, you could just do, if you know for sure that they're not going to block and they're going to try and escape out of your frame trap, you could just do 4-3-2 and let the spin rip. Now, of course, this was punishable if they block it, but this gave you a combo, so the risk reward was worth it against a lot of characters. Now we're going to combine all of his offense that I just explained to you guys, and we're going to put all the puzzles together, and you're going to see why Cabal was the best rushdown character in the game if you had a big hitbox. So let's go back to his best normals if you're a big hitbox character. Standing 2. This is 9 frame startup. It's +10 on block. let's do the math here. You have a move that comes out in 9 frames and gives you 10 frames of block advantage. This is actually a block infinite if you execute it properly. Yes, I know it is a just frame block infinite, and it's very difficult compared to almost every other block infinite ever created, but if you had the execution to do multiple consecutive just frames, you could theoretically block infinite your opponent and kill them just by doing this. And this would probably take 50 times in a row. 50 to 60 times in a row, and then your opponent would die the chip. No one has pulled this off in the game yet, because again, it's not easy to do a just frame. And this game has a weird mechanic that if you're crouching in this game, when you're stuck in block stun, and you do a high, the move will whiff, meaning you can't jail a high that hits a crouch blocking opponent into another high. It'll just whiff. So I'm going to demonstrate that. Watch. You're going to see. So you see how this is not whiffing, right? It's always connecting. Now, if I do the same thing, if I were to jail it, it's going to whiff. So check this out. If I do it properly, you can see how right there it whiffed. That means this game has a weird, like, high protection input on crouching. So even if you could do the infinite, if you catch your opponent crouch blocking, it's not going to work. They have to be caught standing. So in order to go into the infinite, it has to be off a jump punch, which would be the best way to go into it, because then your opponent's stuck stand blocking and they're stuck into it, and then you can enforce the infinite. And one way to get out of it, if someone could do this every time, is you could, while he's infinite you on block, stand blocking, by doing 2 cancel 2 cancel, you could. Sorry guys, it's been a while since I played Cabal, so I'm gonna mess up a lot. Anyway, so let's say someone's doing that, right? What you could do is you could take the hit. When you're hit, in this game, when you're stuck in hit stun, the next hit that you're forced to block, if you're crouching during the next hit, crouching and blocking, you're going to recover in a crouch block state. So watch this. So you see how Shiva's hit. Let me do that again. I'll put Shiva in stun like that. Let's say Shiva's in stun like that, right? If I go to do 2, you see how it puts her in crouch block? So for you to get if you wanted to get out of this infinite, if someone could do this to you every single time they touched you, is you just get hit by the 2 and then crouch block, and then the next time it hits you and you go to block, it'll put you on a crouch like that, and then he won't be able to infinite you. Now there's a workaway around this, and this is where I'm going to explain to you guys why his rushdown is so messed up. So this is what Cabal players would do. They would not try to do the infinite because that wasn't practical. What they would do is this, and this was the most broken offense sequence in the game. So the mix-up was this. If you were a big hitbox character, Cabal would respond in 2 ways. He would either go for 2, which would pressure you, or he would go for back 1. Now, if he went for back 1, he had multiple different staggers. He could do back 1 cancel, back 1 2 cancel, back 1 2 to complete the string. And of course, if you try to move after this, you can risk getting launched. And if you try to poke, you can, of course, either go into a 50-50, make you block, do the spin, or do a poke to check you. So Cabal will either do back 1, which makes you want to block, right? So if you're crouch blocking, this is the offense. If you block, Cabal does A. A is 2 nomad dash cancel. If you don't block, Cabal does option B. B is back 1 2 1. So the mix-up is, if you're not blocking, I'm going to chip you. And while they're doing the offense, they won't try to do the just frame version for the infinite, because if you do just frame, it's not going to work. It's going to make the opponent whiff, and then they'll have time to get out. So they're going to delay their 2 by a frame or 2, so that crouch bug doesn't occur. So they're going to do standing 2 cancel, be at +10, and then they're going to wait a frame or 2, and then do their standing 2 again when they're at +8 or +7. So it's going to look like this. This is how Cabal is going to pressure you if you're a big hitbox character. Just Cabal doing this. Let me go to the other side. I stop messing up. Okay, so Cabal's pressure is going to look like this. That's what it would look like. Now, you as a Shiva, your only option to get out of this is to let go and duck under the 2 and then hit Cabal. But here's where the mix-up comes in. Here's where option B comes in, which I just explained. So +10, back 1. You see that? So +10, if I think you're going to poke out, back 1 2. That's a frame trap. You cannot avoid the back 1 because it's a 13 frame mid, which means if I do standing 2 and I think you're going to try and duck the next standing 2 that's going to come out, I can just go into back 1 and that will launch you because you don't have frames to escape. you have to either armor or respect it. So Cabal would just be doing this. Pretend she's ducking. So Cabal would be doing this. You think he's going to do standing 2 over, but he hits you with back 1, and then this would happen. So you're blocking. Then you get hit. And then you get launched. And when you get launched, of course, Cabal has combos. Let's say Cabal hits you. He can launch you and then go immediately into a combo and then restand you. And when he restands you, you're back into the same pressure. You're back into the standing 2 pressure block loop and back 1 frame trap, which makes you want to block. And he could, of course, like I said, sneak in 50-50s at any time, like this, or sneak in throws and get creative. Cabal's offense in this game was, he had so many different options to catch somebody wanting to like go block or something. So let's go over Cabal's offense again. He has safe 50-50s that he can enforce to make you want to block and stop trying to poke out of his cancels. He has, all his strings are pretty much plus. Like this is +1, this is +2, this is neutral, this is +2. Standing 2 is +10, his best cancel. 1-1-1 off a jump in is +8. You do that into a frame trap. He can sneak in throws. Cabal was just a character that if you had a big hitbox, you could not really deal with him. You had to either have very strong armor that you could throw out, or some kind of invincible move to get you out of there, or you had to have some good zoning to keep him away from you, or you had to have been a really good up-close character that when you finally got your turn back, you could make it count and then make him pay for, you know, wanting to play up close against you. But yeah, this is a small breakdown and overlook on Cabal's ridiculous offense and why he was the most broken offensive rushdown character NRS has ever created. And I do apologize if this video dragged on for a little too long. It's kind of hard to explain everything that Cabal has in 5 minutes because his offense and the tools and depth that he has attached to them takes a little bit longer to break down individually so you guys could understand how things work properly. But anyway, thank you so much for watching and stay tuned for the next video.